friends, and here we are once again with the Final Cuts Go-Go Godzilla Challenge. Mark the Movie Man here, and we're looking at number 19 in the Godzilla franchise in the form of Godzilla vs. Mothra from 1992. This one has a new director at the helm in the form of Takayo Okawara, though we do still have a familiar name into the form of Kazuki Omori, who wrote this script. And the story, well, we have the events taking place after the events of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. In this case, we have a meteor, though, that crashes down on Earth and wakes Godzilla, who's been sleeping in the ocean. Well, this meteor also shakes some things up on Infant Island, where a corporation is starting some development. And it also wakes a creature up from the depths known as Batra. We see how this corporation enlists the help of a thief who robs tombs and other sacred artifacts to work with the thief's ex-wife and a representative from the corporation to investigate what's going on Infant Island. While they explore some caves, find drawings of ancient insects, very large ones, fighting against each other, and they find an egg, along with two very small ladies known as the Cosmos. Well, of course, the corporation wants to take advantage of the egg to protect it, and while transporting the egg and the Cosmos, they come across Godzilla, who's awake and just cranky. He's been asleep for a while. But they also find the larva form of Batra, and these three soon are fighting it out, two larvas against the big green guy, as the humans are caught in the middle. And we see how the events unfold in this that lead to both Batra and Mothra forming their adult forms and taking on Godzilla and each other. And what does it mean for humanity and the Earth? Well, you'll have to wait to find out. Godzilla vs. Mothra, it continues that trend that we saw in the third act of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, where it feels like the series got its feet underneath it and is bringing to you interesting story, solid story, and really starting to figure out exactly how they want to approach this material. Now, Godzilla is the main baddie in here, though we do have Batra as well, and who looks awesome. I love the design of Batra, like this just evil, he's got more of a harder carapace, he's got more bat-like wings, just looking vicious. It's a great contrast to Mothra, who looks fantastic, a little more fuzzy than we're used to seeing her, but also just she looks beautiful in this, and I loved the Mothra and the Batra designs. And Godzilla gets a little slimmer look, and he's got a little meaner look still, and he gets some yellow in his eyes as well this time around, so they're modifying him to look a little bit different, a little bit leaner, and seeing if they could do more. Now, the fight between these three I thought was very impressive, though it's getting to the point now where you see, oh, there's a tall building, someone's going to run into it, and sure enough, they do. I also like the fact that they set these creatures up in a way to where you can understand what's going on. They feel like they all have their own personalities, and there's some communication between them that you can follow without totally having exposition given to you. Now, as far as the storyline for the humans go, they do this very touching thing with our Tomb Raider thief gentleman working with his ex-wife, who he still has feelings for, and they have a young daughter who is the first child star of the film, of the Godzilla franchise, since Godzilla vs. Megalon. So they're playing a little bit towards that angle, and you come to find out later, if you do a little digging, that they chose Mothra because Mothra proved to be the most popular among the female demographic of Godzilla fans. And since they, females, were making up the bulk of the movie-watching audience in Japan, it was natural they decided to go with the Mothra storyline, which wasn't intended to be a Godzilla vs. Mothra storyline. This was going to be a standalone Mothra fight, but with Toho got scared, the money folks got scared when Biollante didn't do well, where we had, a well-known monster against a very new opponent. They got a little nervous with that. So instead of Mothra versus Bagan, we got Godzilla versus Mothra, but they still took that script, and unfortunately what it means is they shoehorned those characters we got to know in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and they kind of shoehorned them in here, and we didn't really see much happen with them. And I'm referring to, of course, Megumi Odaka, who's the ESP Miki Sagawa, and, Segusa, and they don't do much with her. She's in here, but, they don't really do much with her or the other characters that they established, though there is a recurring character who shows up in the next film after this, Professor Fukazawa, played by Saburo Shindoa, and I liked seeing that character return. So, and we also get an original actor from the first Godzilla film. He's back here as the Environmental Planning Board Chief, Joji Minamino. I apologize if I mispronounced that. That was Akira Takarada. He was also in a lot of the classic Showa series films. He's back, and I enjoyed seeing him as the board chief. Overall, I think this film does better in establishing the monsters. The fights feel kinetic, feel logical, and are very impressive. And I did enjoy the conclusion of this as well, and keeping with the theme that Godzilla is still the bad guy for humanity, and Mothra, she's just fantastic. It was great seeing Cosmos, the small characters again. I still stand by Mothra being the most interesting and unique monster of the Toho cinematic universe, at least in the Godzilla franchise. And all the Mothra films tend to be my favorite. And so far, out of all the ones we've watched, the Mothra films have been my favorite. And the same goes with this Mothra film in the Heisei series, the Versus series. So if you've seen Godzilla vs. Mothra, please let me know what you think of it, from the direction to, we do get the score once again by Akira Ifukube, and it's always great music there from that composer. Love his music quite a bit and enjoyed this film. So love to hear your thoughts on this. Please check out our Patreon if you haven't already. I appreciate your support, and until next time, remember, and keep that ticket stub.